Welcome to today's video. This is just a quick intro to the video. Today I'm having a conversation with one of our students, Jodi. She took the Foundation 1 class this year and has gone through, this is like the COVID swimming student. So she's gone through Foundation 1 and up through doing stroke classes. We've been doing front crawl classes out in the pouring rain in the dark of winter without our cover on because we're keeping that open air environment through this time. But take a listen to her story. I bet you might hear some of your story in there, and it's really neat to see her journey and transformation and like why she's really come out and wanted this for herself. So take a listen, hear yourself in there, cheer her on, find inspiration for you. Story I was bringing in. Do you remember what story kind of you brought in?
Well, yeah, it's that I always loved the water as a kid, but I never learned to swim, and I never had anybody sort of take it on themselves to teach me to swim. But I really associate it with this really happy extended family childhood that I had in New York, with this like my family and then my mother's two brothers' families and all the kids. We sort of grew up together all in one house with different apartments and all sort of working class guys. So in the summer, we went to the municipal beach all the time and, brought picnics. And I just have this really good memory around the water of just being with my cousins and eating fruit on the beach and having picnics and eating French fries and splashing in the water. And, growing up, I just always loved to be around the water, but I think I was probably 12 by the time I learned to actually be okay putting my head under the water, because I had a friend and we went to the pool and she was doing it, so I did it. And then I realized I could swim as long as I could hold my breath. And then that sort of lasted from 12 to, this summer, that the only way I could swim is as long as I could hold my breath. And if I ran out of breath and I wasn't in standing water, then I was going to panic. If I wasn't in water that was shallow enough for me to put my feet down or by a wall and I ran out of breath, I had no options, basically. Okay. So I've been wanting to remedy that for decades. Mm-hmm. I tried taking lessons when my kids were taking lessons, and it was an abject failure. It didn't help at all.
And what do you think that was about?
The lessons, I think it was sort of like, here's your kicking board and go kick out. And, here's how you tread water, try it. And I was just still panicking. I never got past the point where I wasn't panicking to be over my head in the water, even holding onto the kickboard. And yeah, it was all about like technique. Here's how you do this. Okay, just go ahead and do it. And I'd heard about your school from a martial arts friend 10 years ago.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I believe she came to your school. Her name's Sherry. And I remember her writing about it on Facebook or talking about it. And I always made a note of it. And then, over the years, kind of looked it up now and then. And then last year decided, I think when I turned 60, a lot of stuff hit the fan about I better, get on these things that I'm interested in trying and doing and learning. And that's when I sort of looked into it more. And then finally, in, I guess, December or January, signed up for the March class.
And then COVID. And then we had
COVID hit. Yeah.
Was it that a relief, or was that a
No, I was so because I was looking forward to it starting.
Okay. Yeah. It didn't let you off the hook. It was a disappointment because you were really ready.
Although it was nice to sort of have that contact ahead of the class, because at that point you guys were really trying to bring us into some kind of learning, not just leave us hanging. And that, that was great. It really helped to, feel like I was part of something.
Yeah, we were waiting for you and ready for you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Did you do any of the online stuff before your class?
Oh, I did a lot of it. Yeah. I'd listened to a lot of your videos, and whatever was up there, basically, I tried to listen to whatever was available. Yeah. I don't remember now because I'm confused between what I had access to after becoming a member and I guess we did get a membership at that point. Yeah. So
We gave
I did
everybody
pick
who was
around.
waiting a membership.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did pick around and look at stuff and,
Mm-hmm.
and watch a lot of your videos.
And how
Yeah.
was that? Do you think that was helpful, or how was that for you to see that stuff beforehand?
It was good. It was great. Because it's not, I mean, although there's some technique, it's always sort of grounded in that, you know, first be comfortable in the water and then do this. So, it, you know, it was just sort of interesting to get a preview of what the approach was going to be when I got in the pool finally. Yeah.
Yeah, less of a mystery then.
Yeah.
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 So tell me about like your swim story now. Like, how do you approach the water now? How do you think of yourself now as a swimmer? How, yeah, I'll ask you one more of those in a second, but yeah.
Yeah. I feel much more capable and like much less likely to get caught in a situation where I panic in the water. You know, short of being shipwrecked or something where you're thrown off in the middle of the ocean. And even then, you know, I feel like I have tools now I would never have had before. I do feel very attached to your pool, and I'm very curious about going beyond that and how that's going to feel. I've always, you know, before taking class, whenever we go to, you know, hotels or anything, you know, it was always me and my younger son. We're very into just jumping in the pool. So I'm looking forward to that, like next time when we're able to travel and staying someplace where there's a pool and, you know, there's no lifeguard, and just going in it and seeing how that feels. And it's going to be colder, and, you know, it's just going to be different.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to not being stuck in the shallow end, you know, all the time.
Nice. Yeah. So you don't feel like you're stuck in the shallow end anymore, huh?
No.
The deep end's not a mystery anymore.
Sorry?
I said the deep end's not a mystery anymore. Or how do you feel about the deep end now?
It's not a mystery. I feel really good about it when I'm wearing my fins, because it's like a little extra security blanket, because it's so much easier to stay up with them on. But even without them, although I don't know, yeah, without them, I feel totally comfortable going on my back. I was trying to remember yesterday. I watched your video on the back float, which was kind of funny. I liked that. I enjoyed that. How when I first came, I couldn't do the back float right away. I was having a hard time, because now it just seems like if everything's hitting the fan, I just go to my back float to relax, and it feels entirely comfortable now. And it really took a while before I felt like I wasn't sure every time I did it whether my head was going to sink under or not.
Yeah. Yeah, you were pretty resistant to it in your foundation class. I mean, that was the area, as I recall, was there was some resistance to it, and like, oh, am I going to get this? Do I have to get this? And
yeah, I mean, I wasn't sort of like consciously resisting doing it. I couldn't relax into doing it.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like you were.
Yeah, I was holding my neck, and it was getting sore, and then I was getting annoyed with myself, and yeah. And then one day it just worked, and it was sort of, you know, it wasn't entirely smooth after that, but then when I could feel that I could float, and the way your body goes up and down while you're floating and breathing and stuff really wigged me out at first. It made me feel kind of dizzy, because I didn't expect that. And once I got used to that being normal, it was a lot easier.
Yeah. And in this piece that when you, I mean, I can think back to that class of you going into your working on the back float. It's like we didn't make it that you had to get it and you had to do it all, right? It's like taking a little bit, doing some other things, taking a little bit, doing some other things. Yeah.
Yeah, and you had the sort of intermediate where we were right up against the wall, holding onto the wall and falling back. And that was good to have that step in between, because I could feel safe trying that, and then try to get the feeling of relaxing back before I sort of remember that one day, and when I just let go and floated back, and it was okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
Baby steps.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, what I heard from your story from when you were little. Now, did you say you had siblings? Or you had like cousins and family?
I had cousins. I'm by far the youngest in my family, but my cousins were around my age, and there was one family where we were very, very close, and spent a lot of time with them. Yeah.
Now, and you guys were all playing around in the water and whatnot. Did they learn how to swim?
I think they did get lessons. I think their parents, when we were teenagers, maybe when they were older.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not positive about that. I just remember mostly playing in the water with them in the shallow end, and we would do a lot of stuff underwater and play around, but I don't remember any sort of swimming, going
mm-hmm.
from one point to another point.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Which is an interesting thing to look at. I mean, just even this piece where you're like, I think they got lessons. I mean, we don't know if how they feel about their swimming without talking to them. Yeah. But there's a little bit of this narrative you have around, well, they probably got lessons, that somebody needs lessons to learn how to swim.
Yeah. Well, somebody knew how to swim around them. Like I remember their mom, my aunt, swam, and she would dive in from the side of the pool and swim. So they had that. My mother would never do that. She was shallow water only, and not get her hair wet, kind of pool person. And very much like Eagle Eye when I was little on the beach. Don't go in too deep. That sort of. Yeah, so I don't know whether their parents just sort of introduced them to the idea of swimming or not. I don't remember that.
Well, and that's a really good that piece of just noticing what your mom did, and that the other mom was out swimming with them, and so maybe they had lessons or maybe they didn't, but they were given a different story about the relationship with the water than you were given. And this is what we see over and over again, that most of our students, their parents don't know how to swim. And it's a big thing for us of like, how do we prevent childhood drowning? By teaching adults.
That's true. Yeah.
I mean, not only are they the rescuers, but just really because it's the whole culture around it. It isn't even necessarily about swimming lessons.
Interesting. I mean, I'm pretty sure my 3 siblings, none of them knows how to swim either, or knew how to swim.
Okay. Yeah. It's very hard on a mom who's like, I love this child. It's my job to protect them, and I don't know how. So the way I'm going to do it is to help them be afraid of it too. Because if they're afraid, they won't go.
Right.
Yeah. And it is a very loving thing for a parent to do, when you think about it that way. Yeah. And you chose a different way with your children, it sounded like.
Yeah. I really wanted them to be comfortable on the water.
Yeah.
It was such a gas watching them as they were, little, going to the lake, and they had to do a little swim test or something to go beyond the rope or whatever it was, and passing and them going out there, and I was just happy to watch them do that. But I never was able to do it myself, obviously. That time.
Yeah. Neat. Until now. Well, maybe not now as in November, but
Right.
In the lake. But it's coming. Where do your swim dreams take you? Like, you're like, oh, I'd love to be able to. Well,
the first one, the whole like impetus for signing up for your class when I did was that one of my like bucket lists was like, I've never been to Hawaii, and I hear it's beautiful, and it's, lovely landscape and stuff, and volcanoes and water. And I really wanted to go. And my friend and I started talking more about going together. And I was looking at the sort of snorkeling and scuba diving thing, and I could feel the sort of tension rising in my chest. And I thought, I don't want to go there and not do that because I'm scared. And I'm going to postpone this trip until I learn to swim. So that was sort of my very specific impetus for doing the class when I did, was because I wanted to go to Hawaii and be able to engage in water stuff and be happy and comfortable and not fearful.
Nice, nice. That is a good one. I love it. And so it works out perfect that you learned in the COVID year. So you really gave yourself time to learn with no pressure.
I can't go to Hawaii, so I might as well just go to Corey's pool and swim. And then maybe next year when you do Hawaii next time and it's post-vaccine,
yes,
I can join you with that.
Oh, that would be so fun. I didn't know that was on your list. Yeah.
Yeah,
it really is the most fun. We had the most amazing time. It was so disappointing we had to cancel this year, but yeah, I mean, to swim.
I just saw the pictures where you have like a cove that's pretty secluded, or there's an extensive shallow part before you get to the deep part, and that just looked perfect.
Yes, yeah, we picked these nice flat beaches and protected areas that we can check things out and figure out how it works. And yeah, and then we do an excursion on a boat, so we can have that experience too. But again, it's always about making it feel fun and safe, and just like whatever it takes for you to be calm, whatever it takes for you to be present. That's what we do. And because then you get to really enjoy the experience. Yeah. Yeah. So it's super fun. Yeah. Good. All right. Well, anything else you want to share, like, or say, or about your journey? It was really good to hear your story.
No, I mean, I love this part of the journey because it's a really steep learning curve. I mean, I always love like the initial stages of learning something new, because your progress is visible, and then you get to that sort of plateau where you're just sort of incorporating it. So this part is really fun. I still have to deal with some fear, I think. I can feel it sort of coming up now and then, like when you mentioned going out on a boat, I'm like, nope, I'm not doing that, because I've never liked going out on boats. I like the smaller the boat, the worse it is. And I don't know if that's from not feeling safe in the water, or from some kind of like motion sick thing, or a combination. But that would be something to try out and see how it felt.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much more to try.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And it's all about breaking it into those manageable pieces, so you can start to decipher, right? Like, what is, kind of like you talked about being on your back, what is just the sensations that are unfamiliar to me? And so my brain is telling me this is dangerous, versus no, this is a sensation. I can know I'm in a safe place, a place that I know I can experience the sensation and get to know it. Yeah. And to pull those two things apart. Yeah. Good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, because when your brain tells you it's dangerous, it becomes dangerous because your body tenses up. So
exactly,
fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah. It is. Yeah. Well, and that's where, going back again with your childhood experience, with you saying there was only so much I can do without, then I start to feel panicky. You were given that belief that I mean, just using what you said when your mom said, well, you can have fun, but don't go to the deep water, right? Like, you didn't know all right, she just said, I'm a good girl, I'm gonna, like, something is wrong there, and you took on the belief that she needed you to take on, that there was something wrong in the deep water, that you should be afraid of it. And so, being the wonderful little child you were, you like took it on.
I know about that part, but yeah.
I don't know, as you talk to me, you always have your halo behind you, so
yeah. I mean, I think part of my fear, and I don't know if this has to do with, my swim journey, is like, I'm thinking about the day you had us try to jump in from the side, is that like too much stimulus at once I have a hard time with. And I think wasn't so much I was afraid of being in the deep water as taking the jump. And I think that happens to me a lot. It's like there's just like too much stimulation and I need to back off. So that's also something to work on, I think.
Yeah.
Break it down or something.
It's a perfect thing to know about yourself.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with it, right? It's just a perfect thing to know. And so you go, okay, yeah, this is just what I know. And I know when it's too much.
Mm-hmm.
And so that lets me know where the boundary is. Doesn't mean I'm not doing the thing. It just means I'm doing a part of the thing, or I'm getting to know all the components so they don't feel so overwhelming. Yeah, all of that. It really doesn't matter,
Mm-hmm.
how the order or how you go about it, just as long as you're like, yeah, I can stay grounded for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So good. Well, it's
That's it. That's
super
all I
fun to
have.
have you, and
All right,
so
thanks.
fun to
Edit out all the
hear,
silly parts, but
yeah, all your journey and your questions, and yeah, you're a beautiful swimmer in the Orca Trail.
thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, take care, and I'll
Okay.
see you on Wednesday.
Okay. Sounds good. Thanks,
Okay.
Jodi.
Take care. All
Bye.
right. Bye.